Here's Brody Brazil.
You know, it's been a whole weekend basically since Doug Wilson stepped away from the San Jose Sharks, and I really haven't even made a reaction or much commentary about his departure. And after 19 years, I've got a lot to say. Truthfully, I still can't believe I'm saying this. Like, it's a long time. You get accustomed to something, you get set in something, you don't see it changing, and then all of a sudden it does. It's still weird even coming out of my mouth to say that Doug Wilson is no longer general manager of the San Jose Sharks. But thank you is the number one thing that I want to say to him right now. If he sees this, if he watches this, if he hears about it, I doubt he's on my YouTube channel, but that's my expression to Doug Wilson. And he hasn't been in the public sphere for a while as he's battled illness. So I hope he is out there at least receiving messages, even though he's not been in the public making any comments. But as for the news, it comes down on a Thursday morning, and I'll be very honest with you. A lot of things with the Sharks or in sports I have heads up about. I know it's going to happen, and I don't say anything, but I at least have a heads up. This is how it might play out on this date. I did have an idea based on the overall circumstance, which I'll get to here, that this news is not surprising. But this news, like at 10 o'clock and then the press conference about 90 minutes later, it was shocking in the moment. Again, to see that in text, Doug Wilson stepping away from the San Jose Sharks as general manager, it's shocking in the moment. It still is, you know, kind of a slap in the face. It's cold water over your head. It really does hit you like that. After the shock subsides, you realize how unfortunate this is because of the situation at hand. Yes, the Sharks as a franchise struggling a bit, but most important, most paramount, the health of Doug Wilson. And because of that, because he's been unable to be around in person on a regular basis, and he has to prioritize his life for obvious reasons, that's the unfortunate part, is that circumstance is taking him away from this role, his passion, and what he's been doing for 19 years. But also the third thing you start to settle in with here in this news, it's not really surprising considering the leave of absence he's been on, how long it's gone, and like I said, how few times we've actually seen him. I want to say December of 21, when he did his Hall of Fame induction speech in Toronto, which I'm glad he was healthy enough to do. Now looking back, you know, that was one of his last public appearances, and we have not seen much, hardly, of Doug at all since then. So none of this was terribly surprising, but yes, upsetting and unfortunate, I think, is the thing that resonates the most. I'll kind of do this video section by section. My wishes for Doug, obviously his health and his family first. They're dealing with this too. It's not just one individual. It's a very tight Wilson family. You get that talking to Doug, being in his office, seeing all the family photos. You get a quick glimpse of what the Wilson family is like. And I know they're all probably, you know, fighting this with him. And I certainly hope that, well, he does understand the priorities because he's made this decision, but I hope other people can respect health and family first. Obviously, continued recovery. I know the type of person he is, diligent, disciplined, determined, and I hope that continued recovery here ultimately leads to another task in professional hockey. Still a young guy, as far as I'm concerned, ton of experience under his belt. I don't know if he'll ever GM again or whatever he'll want to do, but I hope he can finish this chapter of recovery, start a new one, and wherever it is, honestly, that he just gets another task in hockey, because I know that's what he was built to do. I want him to enjoy free time. I want him to be with his grandkids. Of course I want that. But if he so desires, let's put it that way, another task in hockey would be great ultimately. My personal experience with Doug, I mean, this is a man who operated with respect and compassion, and not just when the red light was on doing an interview and his responses. And yeah, he was polished. Like, you know, a lot of times he didn't want to directly answer a question, but that's his strategy as a GM. But he still wouldn't shut you down. He would give you the best possible answer he could. But that's all in the on-camera environment. I'm talking about human to human. Hey, bro, how's it going? How you doing? Everything good? Okay, I'll see you in the hallway. Like, never above anyone else. And I can tell you that. I've also seen a lot of Sharks employees expressing that sentiment, like they'd see him in the hallway. And let's be honest, this is the boss of hockey operations right here. And a lot of times that person is not even going to glance at you crossing paths in the hallway or knowing your name as the receptionist or, other employee. Like, he was never above anyone else to say hi, be kind, and be personable. So I always notice that. I always appreciate that with Doug. And I think last and not least here, but, he just always understood what it meant to be a Shark. Something about being the first captain was probably part of that. Something about understanding the Sharks of the Cow Palace of 1991 and 1992. Probably something about that. And being the GM for 19 seasons. He understands this franchise, this fan base, the ownership, expectations. We'll get to his accolades in a second, but he just got it. And whoever the Sharks bring in next, I don't know. It's not guaranteed that next person knows the Sharks, gets the Sharks, was a Shark like Doug Wilson. His legacy is simple. He's already in the Hockey Hall of Fame. He was the team's first captain. He spent almost 2 decades as general manager. And the big thing here is that he set an unprecedented bar for this franchise to the point where if they don't make the playoffs, something's wrong with them. Think across professional sports. Like, bring yourself to reality here for just a second. How many years in a row, when we look at all the other Bay Area sports teams, like in baseball, the A's don't make it nearly every year. And I know baseball and hockey, 2 different formats. Half the teams in hockey make it these days. But the San Francisco Giants, the 49ers, the Warriors, the Earthquakes, like teams go through these ruts. And now the Sharks are here 3 years in a row not making it. Oh, that's a big deal. But oh my gosh. That also sends the message of how competitive this team was through most of the 2000s, through almost all of the 2010s. And what was the common thread? Who was the architect of all this? Doug Wilson and his team. So he set an unprecedented bar for this franchise to the point that now it's really hard to maintain what they had been doing. Now, some out there, like on Thursday morning, were literally already evaluating his tenure. What did he do? What were the good things? What were the bad things he did? How is he leaving this team? And I guess that's human nature. I guess that's what we all do. Like, that's the first thing we do is we try and bring peace and clarity to our brain by summarizing, okay, here's what this person meant. I'll get to in a second why I'm just not ready for it. But let me throw out some things to consider if you are doing that right now. How many GMs could not only bring Joe Thornton in, but keep he and Patrick Marleau around and happy and build a chemistry and build a community, like a team environment where those guys were always staying? And see this right here? Can I, wait, no, I guess it's that way. I got a point. Yeah. See that right there? Hometown discount. How many Sharks over the years stayed in San Jose when their contract was up and not just stayed, took a hometown discount to play on a competitive team and an atmosphere and a region and a franchise they liked? I could think of quite a few. I won't name them all here, but there's quite a few to different extents. And Joe and Patty were 2 of the top. Yeah, they could have been enticed by some other team, some other market. It was a bad team, but they would have given them $2 million a year more. But Doug set that precedent of a hometown discount. Now, I like players getting paid. I like them getting their full value, but I also like the fact that here's loyalty that's been built by players to the front office and to a GM so much that they're willing to sacrifice hard-earned money to be with the right people. Doug created a lot of that. He didn't create the hometown discount. That's not like that happens elsewhere, but he kind of instilled that in San Jose. But going back to the evaluation of this stuff and his tenure, I am not ready for that still. And this video is several days removed from his departure. I'm making it now because I wanted to kind of let it settle in a little bit. I'm not ready to evaluate his professional work across 19 seasons or even the last couple seasons. I'm not ready for that yet. I know we're going to have months and weeks ahead and years ahead to look back on things, but this is still pretty fresh. I think at this point, the number one thing we should be saying is thank you, Doug Wilson. So let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. And I can't express my gratitude enough to Doug Wilson. But more importantly than saying thank you is that I hope you get well soon.